Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Real Estate, Real Life, Real Talk, and Real Live with Damon, the agent. Today is Friday, September the 16th, and I normally come on at 12 noon, but today I am on an hour early, specifically because I have a dentist appointment, y'all, and I forgot to reschedule it. That is the importance of making sure that you check your calendars and making sure that you schedule things the way that you're supposed to. Because I was definitely supposed to reschedule it. So when I originally scheduled it back in, I believe it was February or March, I set it for this date at 1 p.m. No, I set it for 1 p.m. But have to, get to the dentist's office. But that's another story. You all know how hard it is to reschedule with the dentist. So I basically had to just push this time back a little bit. But welcome to another episode. I thank you all for taking the time where I come on here and I share the latest real estate trend. I always try to have a business spotlight person on here. And I always talk about a little trendy topic, whatever's going on in the world today. So let me begin in the world of real estate. All right. I want to talk about debt consolidation. All right. I got a phone call recently from someone who was saying that they had a lot of debt and that they wanted to buy a property, but they didn't know how to go about dealing with all their credit card debt, past debts, and also just their bills in general. So I just want to give you all a few suggestions to possibly help someone out there who's looking to consolidate their debt. Now, what I always like to do is whatever your debt is, please total up all of your total debt, whether it's past bills, credit cards, how much you owe monthly on everything. And what you do is you write all that down. The second thing you do is if you bank with a credit union, and I say credit union preferably over a bank, credit unions have a very good consolidation plan, okay? They do work well with a lot of people. If you've been banked with them for a while, especially if you have your direct deposit going towards them, they will work with you in solving your debt consolidation situations. Now, with that being said, there are other options as well too. For those who own a home, and I also put on here as my title, HELOC or refinance. I talked previously about those subjects because people were asking me which one is better, to do a refinance or a HELOC. And for those of you all who don't know what a HELOC is, a HELOC stands for Home Equity Line of Credit. It is a hidden jewel in which many people know about it, but some people don't know about it. It seems a lot of people tend to know about refinancing, but the HELOC is much more beneficial as far as saving you money. And also when it pertains to, like, let's say you've owned a home and it's been over 10 years or more. If you refinance your home loan, most likely your payment is going to go down. But you reset your mortgage, starting it all over again to the 30 years. So let's say you had a home, you've been paying on it for over 10 years, let's say 15 years. And you only have 15 years left on the loan mortgage. If you do a refinance, it's going to reset that. But of course, your mortgage balance is going to be less than it was 15 years ago. So let's say you bought the house at $300,000 and now your mortgage balance is $200,000. Of course, a $200,000 mortgage is going to be what you were previously paying. But with another factor in refinancing is when you refinance a home, you have to pay closing costs all over again. So not only are you resetting the loan, but you're paying closing costs over again. And closing costs normally ranges between 4 to 6%. It just varies. It just depends on the mortgage company and also how much you owe, your interest rate, all of these things. But just take that. Let's say you're doing a $300,000 home, 4% is $12,000. And on top of that, you're resetting. So you've been paying on it for 15 years. Now you have to reset and start 30 years. So of course your mortgage payment is going to be lower, but you're resetting and you pay closing costs. Now the beneficial of a HELOC is when you go have a HELOC, for example, people tend to don't understand what the HELOC is. HELOC is basically you taking money from the equity that you already have in your home. just like you would do if you refinance your home. But the HELOC though is you don't pay you don't pay any closing costs. All you pay is a fee. You pay a fee to take money out. But and so what happens is that fee you take out, let's say you have a $300,000 home again, and when you have that $300,000 home, you basically when you have pay that fee, what happens is that amount that you take out, it goes as a second lien against your property. So when you refinance, they refinance the total amount. When you do a HELOC, they do a second lien. You're taking a loan out against your property because no money is free money that's accounted for. Understand that. Unless you're dealing with cash where it's tax free, everything is always accounted for. So if you take $50,000 or $100,000 out, yeah, they'll give it to you, but they're loaning it against your equity in your property. So it's like a line of credit that you can pull from. So you're pulling that money and everything from your equity and you use it. Now, some people can use that as far as debt consolidation because of the fact is many people, are not good with money. A lot of people have not been taught the basis of financing. So because of that and everything, everyone's get caught up at some point in time, when it pertains to money. It's very few people who are very, very, very good with their money and very, very good with their credit. So some people need help. So a debt consolidation is a great way to help eliminate the bills that you currently have and going to a credit union if you have one. If you do not have a credit union, you can go to your bank because some banks may have some options. I don't want to say that all major banks don't, but credit unions are much more people friendlier when it pertains to lending money. That's why they're so popular compared to major banks. So if you do have a credit union, I would suggest going to the credit union first. If you don't have a credit union and you can get affiliated as far as being a credit union, I would do so to try to help with your debt consolidation. So someone said I'm on early. I want to thank you for sharing, Carrie. You're earlier today. I like this time better. Yeah, I'm earlier today. You probably missed when I mentioned that I have a dentist appointment that I scheduled early in the year in which I did not reschedule the time, so I have to be there at 1 p.m. So that's the reason why I had to come on an hour earlier. Kendra and Miss Lynch. So back to the debt consolidation. So also the other means of debt consolidation is if you have credit cards, I would truly advise for you to try to either transfer your credit card balance to a lower one. Again, if you're with a credit union and you have credit cards, a lot of credit unions offer the transferring of, let's say you bank with Capital One, and let's say you bank with PenFed, for example. PenFed most likely has a way where you can transfer your credit card balance from Capital One to PenFed and have a lower interest rate. That lower interest rate will help you over time. What people fail to realize is, and I spoke with this earlier about when people were concerned about the interest rate going up. And I always tell people that unless you have A1 credit, that interest rate that you see as today's interest rate doesn't necessarily apply to you. Everyone's interest rate is different. It's just like when people get a car, they end up paying a 22% interest rate, or a credit card, they'll have a 24% interest rate. But if you look on any TV commercials, you'll see where they advertise the credit card, 0% interest. That's for people who have A1 credit. So everyone doesn't have A1 credit, but they'll still give you a credit card. You're just going to pay the 24% interest rate. They'll still give you a car loan. You're just going to pay a 20% interest rate. The same thing applies when it pertains to the credit cards. If you have a credit card, to try to transfer it over to a lower interest rate, that will help eliminate your debt in many ways. So these are some things that I think people should take into consideration. It's not easy to always eliminate debt. It's not easy at all. But at the same time, though, it is very helpful that if you all can figure out the means to eliminate these things, so you can do whatever you want to do, whether it's buying a home, whether it's getting a car, whether it is just want to lower all your monthly bill payments and everything. I would strongly suggest you all to look into that. I just feel as though that sometimes when people get money, people spend, and then bills come in, and then when they're trying to figure something out, they can't figure it out. But the first thing that everyone has to do or should do is write it down. Because when you write things down clearly, you write down all of what you owe every month compared to how much money you're bringing in every month, it will give you a clear understanding. And that's normally called a budget. And even though budgets are very helpful, majority of people don't have a budget, unfortunately. So I want to talk briefly about that to help you all understand that your debt could be consolidated if it is not eliminated. Please, 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 if you bank with a credit union, go through the credit union. You'll be surprised what they have to offer you. It's not just making deposits and making withdrawals. They have other and beneficial options in there to help you with your finances and everything. And again, if you are a homeowner and you have some equity in your home, when it pertains to the HELOC or the refinance, again, if you refinance, you're going to reset your loan and you're going to pay closing costs. Your monthly payment most likely will be lower, most likely, because 9 times out of 10, your balance is lower than when you initially bought that home. With a HELOC, you're pulling from the line of credit that you have. So you're taking a loan out for yourself, but you don't pay any refinancing charges such as the closing costs, and you do not reset the loan. So a lot of times that is more beneficial for people, especially if a person wants to plan on paying their home off soon, or if they eventually plan on selling, you know what I'm saying? They end up with more money in their pocket. So of course, most mortgage companies are going to tell you to refinance, because when you refinance, you're paying that closing costs again, and you're starting the whole loan over. So the longer they can hold on to you, the longer that you keep paying them, the longer that they keep making money off of you. So a HELOC is a great option for those people who own property and want to just take money out to eliminate debt, pay off things, or do whatever it is they want to do. But again, like I said, I had someone who recently asked me about debt consolidation. How could they get rid of their debt? These are ways to get rid of your debt. Check out your credit union. Check out your interest rate. If you have a high interest rate, look at other credit cards that are willing to transfer the balance over to them. And if you own property, look at ways to do a HELOC, or if you want to do a refinance. If you just bought the house within the last 5 years, a refinance may not be bad at all. It just depends on what the numbers are looking like. So always check out the numbers so you can have a clear understanding. Please do not just always listen to when people are talking, because sometimes people talk over people's head. You want to see things in black and white. If they say, oh, well, we can get you a lower interest rate if we can do this, we can do that. Say, okay, please put it in writing and send it to me. Let me review it and I'll get back to you. You need to take the time to do these things, because doing these things are going to help you, put you in a better position to where you want to be in your future, for your life, for your finances, and for your family. So these are the things that you want to do. So I strongly suggest these things. But again, if you have any more questions, please always call, text me, email me. I always love answering any and all questions. And the reason I come onto this platform to share this information with you all is because I am asked these questions many times by more than one person. So when I find myself repeating myself, I tend to go put it on video, because of the fact is I feel like if a person has a question, all they have to do is go back to one of the videos, or I may even shoot them the video. So these are what I'm doing for you all. But that's what I wanted to talk about when it pertains to the world of real estate. So give me 1 second. All right. Welcome back. So at this time, I normally have a business spotlight, but I'm going to put them on the back end of this. And the reason is they're in a, because I came on early, they're actually in a meeting. So I'm going to go on to my next topic, which I normally end, and that is normally what is either trending or what is the topic of the day, or what's just on my mind. And today I'm going to be talking about lack of motivation. And this lack of motivation It's in numerous areas in our lives. I want to briefly talk about it. I noticed when COVID-19 hit back in 2020, the whole world was devastated by being affected with this virus. Um, when we got hit in the United States, the government tried to help a lot of businesses out by offering the PPP loans, in which some people used it for fraud, some people used it for business. Um, but I also noticed that there was a trend going on with the lack of people wanting to work for other people anymore. I can understand it because as an entrepreneur myself, when I worked for people, I recall that sometimes people are, what do you call it? They're title driven, and they feel like when they have a title that they're better than people, or that they what I'm saying, they're not respectful to people when they have these titles behind their names. So a lot of times that will make you not want to work with people because the way they talk to people, the way they act, the way they carry themselves. Sometimes they're looking for favors to move up or to get extra hours or things of that nature. So, but I've noticed a lack of motivation when it pertains to a lot of times nowadays, people don't want to work at all. I'm talking about young people. I'm talking about older people. I'm just talking about just in general. It's like I see a lot of grown kids who don't want to take jobs that their parents took. And even speaking of jobs, there are people nowadays who feel like that if you have a job that you ain't good enough or you don't make enough money. And I think we're living in a world where a lot of people are delusional when it pertains to things. Everybody can't be rich and famous. Everybody's not going to be rich and famous, but people are striving for it, of course, because the more money you have, the easier your lifestyle is and the more things that you can do. But with that being said, a lot of people who are rich and multimillionaires and even billionaires, they had to start at the bottom. They didn't start at the top. They weren't at the top. I'm sorry, y'all. They weren't at the top when they became this multimillionaire or billionaire that they are. They started at the bottom. But nowadays, there's so many people who don't have the motivation to do anything. And when I talk about young people, I'm talking about like young adults and everything. And I blame the parents for this because a lot of times we as parents, we want to give our kids everything because of what we didn't have. But the problem with that is we're not giving the kids the lessons. So nowadays you will have kids, even grown adults who sit home all day, play video games, eat up all the food, use up all the electricity, and they act like they're not supposed to contribute to anything. And if you ask them to take out the trash, they cop an attitude. So with that being said, they feel like they are entitled to everything that their parents had. They don't have the motivation to work. They don't have the hustle or drive at them to go get it. And if let them stay with their parents and then they move out, and then next thing you know, a year or two, they're coming back. And the reason why this is happening is because we as parents have spoiled our kids rotten. And because of that, a lot of them don't have that hustle and drive in them. So now we have a increase in crime and an increase in scams because people out there, they'd rather get over than to go work hard. They'd rather get over on anybody that's easy or they think it's easy than to do any type of hard work. And the lack of motivation is just so rapid. It just spilled over in society in general. Like even when, you look at a lot of relationships these days, people have the lack of motivation for doing things for the people that they're with. I think I briefly mentioned that in one of my previous podcasts that people don't want to do for people, but they want people to jump through hoops for them. Because the reason they don't want to do for people is because what they did for someone else who burnt them or did them wrong. So they've said to themselves, I'll never do that again. And then now they carry that same attitude and mentality towards everyone that they deal with. And doing so, sometimes they're blocking their blessings, but at the same time, they're just protecting their heart. And it sometimes becomes confusing to know, okay, well, I'm doing the right thing from doing the wrong thing. Because you don't really know how people are because the way people are these days. And with that, I mean, like there's a lot of actors and actresses out here. People are phony. There's a lot of phony people. You understand? I mean, They got hidden agendas, hidden motives, and they want something. They're not clear in what they want. They don't talk about what they want, but they try to give the person that they're talking to the image or think what they think they want. And then the real them comes out them later on. You find out that's not what they wanted. So I just say that to say that with the jobs, with the relationships, with the grown kids, with the crime, with the scams. It's just so much lack of motivation out here to work. It's a lack of motivation out here to make any sacrifice for the person that you're dealing with. There's a lack of motivation when it pertains to even people working out. And I think I mentioned that last week as well too. You know, people don't want to, they want instant results of everything, but they don't want to put the work in. And the lack of putting the work in is why we see today, like when we look at like today, it's so much scamming going on, for example. There's always been some type of crime going on way before any of us was born. But the number of scams and the number of people who are getting away with it is totally ridiculous. And on top of that, when we look at the grown kids who don't want to work, look at them. Like I've seen grown men who are in their 30s who are still at home with their parents, their mothers mainly, living in the basement, have no motivation because you know why? Because their back is not against the wall. I know plenty of single mothers who have boyfriends, live-in boyfriends, and the boyfriends don't work or they're down on their luck. And you know what I'm saying? We all get down on our luck at times, but they have no motivation or no drive to try to get out there because they know that they have someone holding them down. And that's all good, you know what I'm saying, and fine and everything. But there's still a lack of motivation because people still don't try. They don't try when they know someone else is going to do for them. That's why a lot of times when you see relationships these days with a lot of women who are being, they have to be strong. They have to stand and do everything because they have no help. They want help, but at the same time, though, they're not getting help. And not because the people who can help them are like, oh, well, you being a strong, independent woman, continue to do so. So it's a lack of motivation when it pertains to that part of the relationship. And then with our kids and stuff, these kids these days don't want to work. You can give them, you can set up jobs for them in a row. They don't want to work. Oh, that pay too low. That pay too low. Or the excuse that I hear is, oh, well, I'm going to spend money on Uber or I ain't got no car. But here's the thing, though. Many people who are over 35, over 30, didn't have cars when they had to work. They caught the public transportation. You know what I'm saying? Uber and Lyft have made it easier for people to get around. But lately, I've heard that the Uber and Lyft prices are now ridiculous and with their charging. So, but in some cases, they've made it easier for people to get around and to get to jobs now. But the problem is a lot of people don't want to work. A lot of people just want stuff given to them because, once they got a taste of getting free money, regardless of how the free money came to them, whether it was through crime, whether it was through a PPP loan, whether it was getting money from somebody passing away or whatever. Once they got a taste of that, now they feel like, oh, okay, well, I ain't had to work for this. Now, how can I figure out a way to keep this going and stuff? So people don't work as hard as they once did. And then when you have the situation where the people are working hard in an office complex or office situation, you may have one person working hard, while you got other people who slack off all day. You got people showing up late to work, taking breaks immediately, going to lunch early, coming back from lunch late, taking another break, leaving their job before their time is off, but yet they expect a full check. This is the world we live in today. You know what I'm saying? There's so much lack of motivation when it pertains to people working. There's lack of motivation when it pertains to young people wanting to work. And there's lack of motivation when it pertains to what spouses are giving each other because of the fact that, like I said before, there's some people who have done for others previously, but then they're not willing to do for the new person because they feel like the new person needs to jump through hoops for them. And that's just the world we live in. We're living in a world, an ever-changing world. And I recall when I was younger, I used to have a teacher at Harriet Tubman Elementary School in Northwest DC. Her name was Miss Burke. And I'll never forget Miss Burke, because Miss Burke used to always say, those who learn to adapt to changes are those who will be successful in the world. She always used to say that. And I used to listen to it because, you're in elementary school, you listen to what the teacher's saying, but you don't really understand what they're saying. But as I got older, I clearly understand what Miss Burke was saying when she said that those who learn to adapt to changes are those who will be successful in the world. And with that being said, meaning you cannot treat all people and situations the same. The problem with a lack of motivation is people are treating all situations the same. Like even with the relationship, you're treating the new person you meet the same as the person that carried you or dogged you. You can't do that if you expect to have the blessings of a great relationship. You can't treat the situations the same when it pertains to jobs. Like, for example, these young people today who don't want to work because of the lack of motivation, nothing has changed with them. As they've gotten older and older, parents continue to give to them. They 10 years old, you give to them. They 15, they 10, you give to them. They're 20, you're still giving to them. And then when they still there between 20 and 25, you wonder why they haven't left. But here's the thing. Some people don't want their kids to leave because they're lonely or they're unhappy in their situation. So they want their kids to always stick around. But the thing is, though, is kids need to have their own lives. They need to, develop learning skills, because as parents are not going to always be around. And the problem is, I've also seen when the parent has passed away and a grown adult who's lived with the parent the entire time has been enabled and don't know how to do the simple basics of life for themselves because their parents have done everything for them. The lack of motivation starts with you within. Whether you are that parent who's enabling your kid, whether you are that spouse who tends to, treat your new friend or whomever the way you treated the old, because of the fact is you felt like, well, I'm not going to do this. And now, don't get me wrong, you do have to be cautious about things, because you do have people out here who will milk you for all you got when it pertains to whether it's your time, your energy, the air you breathe, your money, any and everything. You have to be vigilant as far as knowing who's who and what's what. But I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about those that you've decided that, okay, this is a, person that I want to continue to see how things go. It's just unfortunate today, because if you sit back and you just tend to observe a lot of things and what's going on in the world, we will see that these things it's just every day. You know what I'm saying? Every day is something going on. I don't even watch the news because of the fact that there's so much negativity on the news, for one. They might talk about something positive pertaining to politics or something that's irrelevant. When it pertains to most people's lives and what's going on, that's just fundraising events or things of that nature, they always talking about something negative. So I don't watch the news and everything. But I can still see like what goes on in society, with social media these days. You can see what's going on. And it's just unfortunate the way things are. But again, motivation is always to each his own. But there's just so much lack of motivation that has occurred lately that I felt like I really needed to say something. Because, like I said, I've noticed a trend after 2020, after COVID-19. That's when I noticed a trend. Like once people were giving that money, that PPP money, and a lot of people started going to splurge that money who really didn't have businesses and things of that nature. I started to see like, okay, people, when they were off from work, they got comfortable working from home, and many people still do work from home. But then there were some people who, who didn't go back to work for various reasons, whether they lost their job due to not getting vaccinated, or whether they just quit because they liked the fact that they were getting that PPP money and they were getting additional funding through the government by sitting home. So some people took that money and they started businesses, which is fantastic. And then some people just say no. Now they're trying to figure out ways to continue to milk things. But here's the thing. Nothing lasts forever, good or bad. Regardless of what you're doing, nothing last forever. So, please keep that into consideration about everything, because the thing about the world today is everybody wants to live in a perfect world, whether it's the money they make, whether it's the spouse they have, whether it's the career they have. Nothing is perfect. We're going to all face hard times. We're going to all face good times. We're going to have some ups. We're going to have some downs. Throughout it all, your attitude determines your outcome of it all. Regardless of what happens, it's going to be your attitude that's either you thrive or survive or you dive. That's what's going to happen no matter what you face. Whether you thrive, survive, or die, it's going to be determined by your attitude. Because of the fact is, though, attitude, truthfully, is, what separates everyone from the situations that they're in. It's just like, say you're in a fight and you get knocked down. If you stay down, that's how people are going to look at it. Now, if you get knocked out, that's different. But if you can get up and you get up, people are going to view it different. And it's the same thing in life. We all face adversity about numerous things. It's just the attitude that we have to deal with these adversity, because you can be defeated or you can say, I'm going to try to be a victor. So changing your attitude would definitely change your life and change your mindset. It would definitely help you. I think so many people nowadays are stuck in a rut when it pertains to where they are. And that's part of the reason why there's a lack of motivation with their kids, with their jobs, with their relationship. People are not motivated. And why is that? Some people are going through depression. Some people are facing hardship because of their jobs or because of finances or because of their spouse and everything. And I'm not saying any of these things are easy, because nothing is easy. You have to just try. You have to persevere. And persevere is making efforts and going for it. And that's what people have to do. So when people do these things, good things happen. You just have to try. You can never give up. As long as you wake up every day, that means God is giving you another chance to try to get it right. Because there are many people who did not wake up today. And every day that you wake up, there are many people who are not going to wake up that day either. Because tomorrow isn't promised to anyone. It's not. But here's the thing. Tomorrow's not promised, but let's say you live another 50 years. I don't know how old you are. You could be, any age. Let's say you live another 50 years. How's that going to be? Please don't be like this man that I saw recently on social media. They were passing around. He was like 70 or 72, and he did in my opinion, one of the things that I think was not smart at all. He shot and killed his girlfriend who was like 63. This was in Temple Hills, Maryland. And of course, they arrested him, but you lived 70 years of your life. Now you got to spend the rest of your life in jail. That's not smart at all. And the problem is people, we do dumb things based off our emotions. And that's why I said a lot of times with the lack of motivation, it is because of, how we are feeling. But sometimes we got to get out our feelings, people. We really got to get out our feelings, because there's so much different our life can be. Your life can be anything that you want it to be, that you see on social media or that you see anywhere. But it's not going to get there unless you change your mindset and how you think and what's going on in your head and everything. Because if you don't make the effort and everything, nobody's going to give you anything. The problem is sometimes people feel like they owe things, and people feel entitled to things, because that's where, like I was saying about the grown kids, a lot of grown kids these days, they definitely feel entitled. They feel entitled because of what parents have given them all their life. Now that they grown, they don't have any motivation to do anything. And like I said before, you can ask them to do anything. Ask them to wash the dishes. They're going to cop an attitude. Ask them to take out the trash. Most of them are going to cop an attitude. I ain't saying all. But a lot of them, you know why? Because you've done everything for them and you've given them everything their entire life, but you did not give them the lesson. See, you have the lessons as a parent because of the way you were raised. So when you started earning money and you start doing things, you say, okay, I'm going to get this to my kid. I'm going to get this to my kid because my parent didn't give it to me. Or I want my kids to have this. And then you give. and now they spoiled, entitled brats. You understand? It's just like you see a rich person who's been given everything, a spoiled brat who never had to work for anything. And that's what happened with a lot of people today. So now you got a lot of these grown kids who don't want to work. They don't want to take a job. Or if you say, oh, they're hiring here, oh, they pay too low. This is the mentality of a lot of people. But the parents are to blame. And a lot of times parents don't like to take the responsibilities of the role that they play, but you have to. Because, you know what I'm saying, one parent, both parents, somebody holds the responsibility and stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. When kids become an adult, they have their own mind and free will to do whatever it is that they want to do. So if they choose, because I've seen kids grow up in two parents' household and financially did well, and they'll go out there and do the craziest things, rob, steal, do drugs, do all types of stuff. And it's not because of the parents, it's because sometimes the way that you raise, you sometimes want the opposite when you get older. Like that's why sometimes people who grow up in the suburbs, they want to live in a city. And then some people who live in a city, they want to live in the suburbs, because the way you was raised, sometimes you want the opposite because you didn't have that all your life. So don't get me wrong, but I'm talking about the grown kids who are still home, who are not helping the parents, who are not taking jobs. They don't want to take jobs. They got an excuse. And then parents feel like, okay, well, ain't nothing I can do, because I recently saw a video on Instagram where a kid destroyed the whole place. And the mother came on and said the kid was 15 years old, I think 6'2", 270 pounds, had mental issues. So in situations like that, yes, it's extremely hard for a parent to do anything because of the fact that, you got a parent who, you just can't deal with a big kid like that. And, the fact that, that is causing problems. But I wanted to share that with you all and stuff, so you all can completely understand that, it's just we need to change how we are when it pertains to our kids, because if you don't, then the situations is going to be the same. Excuse me, y'all. I'm just trying to make sure. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I had to do this, but let me come back. So I want to also say to you all again that please, 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 please deal with your grown-up kids the best way that you can. But if you don't know the best way to deal with them, let them know that they grown, and it's a point. It comes a point in time in everybody's life where they need to fend for their own. So if they don't understand it, then they'll figure it out when they get out here in the real world. But the problem is a lot of parents, like Bernie Mac used to say, a lot of parents, they ain't got the hearts to deal with their kids. You know what I'm saying? Why are y'all scared of y'all kids is what I don't understand. Them your kids, they come from you. And if y'all don't know how to deal with them, call the police and get the kids up out of there. But, but I just want to end that on that. The lack of motivation is growing rapid. So I will be back in 1 second, y'all. All right, y'all, I am back. I have a business spotlight today. My business spotlight is the owner and CEO of Not the Norm. Okay. This person I actually went to high school with her. But if you ever want your event to have a wow factor, Not the Norm should be contacted. Not the Norm was established in 2015. They started with making T-shirts and designs, and later they expanded with customized handmade items, event decorating, mugs, diaper cups, magnets, wedding items, flower arrangements, keychains, vanity trays, TV trays, blankets, pillows, puzzle, and that's just to name a few. There are no limitations with what they can create and exhibit in every event. They're one of a kind. They have been featured on radio shows to speak about their accomplishments, provided logos for local artists such as DC Cash, local producers such as Mitch Credo and Anthony Commodore, asked to decorate for book signing events for well-known authors such as Dr. Bonita Parker, Dana Hungerford, provided shirts for the entire Munchin scheme for the first go-go stage plays, The Giz, at the MGM, while working with producers Dr. Lavelle Long, volunteered, sponsored, and donated shirts in numerous community events, and even transferred their living room to a wedding chapel in which they got married in July 2020. And this person, she got married, her name is Kiasha. She got married to Rodney Battle, who is also the CEO of DMB Handyman. They definitely bring a vision in so many ways. NTN was also, and NTN stands for Not the Norm, was also featured on Channel 7 News for their living room transformation, and HLN for their one-of-a-kind vending machine custom for Rogers Heights Elementary School. They have been spreading their products worldwide through Etsy since 2021, with nothing but high reviews and products and services. And then she's working full-time, being a mother, grandmother, and a wife. This self-taught CEO finds the time to accommodate her clients' needs more than what they expected. And they provide A1 products that are all handmade and customized to event theme and to the customers, to show their great work. In the process of expanding their space and business, which means the sky has no limit, they plan on passing the torch to their children and grandchildren and being a mentor to others to give them the steps to start their own business with basically pennies on the dollars. So, with that being said, hold on for 1 second, you all. With that being said, we're going to welcome Kiasha Battle, the president and CEO of Not the Norm. Hold on. We're going to welcome Kiasha Battle of Not the Norm. Give me 1 second, y'all. All right, I'm sorry about that. We're going to welcome Kiasha Battle, president and CEO of Not the Norm. Hold on for 1 second again, y'all, please. right, sorry about that, y'all. Like I said, we're gonna have the president and CEO of Not the Norm, Kiasha Battle, to come on here and talk about her business, what she has to offer. Hold on, I'm clicking her in right now. So hold on. And also, if you all have a business spotlight that you all would like to share as well, please inbox me, DM me, or call or text me at 202-618-1382. I like to bring on and share people's businesses and everything so they can, you know what I'm saying, broadcast to the world what they have to offer, because as business owners, we all should help each other. So a lot of times that's what I'm just trying to do. I'm just trying to spotlight all the businesses just in case you all need the services out there yourself. So let's welcome CEO and owner of Not the Norm. All right, y'all. Yeah, hold on. She says she's coming now. I don't see you. Where are you? Well, in the meantime, y'all, let me just briefly say this young lady just had a 50th birthday party. It was absolutely fantastic. It was a 90s theme. I think it was a 90s theme or 80s theme. Yeah, 90s theme. So we were all there. We had a lot of fun. And here she comes. She said she had to grab her laptop. Her phone wouldn't allow her to do so, which I don't understand why, because people have been doing it from their cars and their phones. But nevertheless, we're going to welcome Miss Battle in 1 second. And again, if you all know any business spotlight, please let me know so I can spotlight their business. I'm always willing to help others, to help their business get launched, to do the things they need to do. So, without further ado, Miss Battle, the CEO of Not the Norm, should be plugging in 1 second. And again, this business was started in 2015 with next to nothing as far as pennies were concerned. And okay, y'all. There are a little bit of technical difficulties going on with Miss Battle, but she is coming. I also want to say briefly, if any of my clients are watching and you all have not received an invite from me for my upcoming client appreciation party on October the 15th, please call or text me so I can make sure that you will get that, because I do have a cutoff, because I do need to have an account of all people who will be there for the caterer. So please contact me if you have not received my invite. I'm pretty sure that I've reached out to everyone, but sometimes one or two people might have slipped through the cracks because they've changed their information. And that's what I found out. Some people that I've emailed and even call have different email addresses and also phone numbers. So, with that being said, y'all, I have Kiasha Battle, the CEO and owner of Not the Norm, who's finally here. Hold on for 1 second. Miss Battle,
Hey,
how are you?
I'm good. I'm here.
Finally, that's great, great. I'm
Yeah,
happy to have you.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoyed your birthday party. Let me just say thank you again for having me there, and it was a good time. You look fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad you came. It was great. My first birthday party at 50. It was a blast.
Yeah,
Everybody came, showed up, showed out, and then 90s again. It was awesome.
yes, it was. So thank you. So let's talk about your business, Not the Norm. I've seen the branding all around and everything. So how did you get started?
I basically got started in 2015 due to a pleasant surprise. I found out I was about 5 months pregnant, and I've already had a business called Bless This Mess, a cleaning business.
Mm-hmm,
So I knew that I wasn't able to be around chemicals and things like that being pregnant. So I'm like, well, I got to do something.
mm-hmm,
And I just started brainstorming and was like, what is it that people like? What is it that people need? So I just started, doing a lot of brainstorming. I'm like, people love t-shirts.
mm-hmm.
T-shirts will never go out of style. And once I was doing a little bit more researching, I saw a lot of people on Facebook and Instagram saying, I wish I could get this on a shirt. So something just clicked, and I just started doing more research on how to do it, what equipment I needed, things like that, and pretty much didn't have any type of money to start up the business. So
So
once I
what is actually Not the Norm? I mean, I hear that, but what is it?
basically not the norm is just to express, all of us are not normal in some type of way.
That's true.
So I decided to come up with that name with two R's in norm to be different.
Right.
And it's not necessarily expressing the brand itself, not the norm, but expressing you know what
The
you can
individual person.
do right with your own personality.
Right. Well, that's good. So, how long have you been in business?
I started 2015 in September, and it'll be 7 years coming up this September, actually tomorrow. And so much has bloomed since then. It started out with just three T-shirts, and now it's the list is just arm length. I can't even name everything that we
Right.
do now.
What are your future plans?
The future plans is to get a bigger shop.
Hmm.
For one, as you can see, I'm in my shop, which is pretty
Where is your
small.
shop located at?
My shop is located in my home.
Okay.
So the plans is to get a bigger home, a bigger shop, bigger equipment, bigger things.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's the plan. I want to start doing backdrops, floor wraps, cutouts, things like that.
So all the stuff that was at your party, you did all that.
I did everything.
Oh wow, that
The
was
only
fast.
thing I didn't do was the actual floor wrap itself and the actual cutout. But as far as the designing of it, I did that. Everything on the candy table, the Rubik's cubes, the centerpieces, the napkins, everything.
So I know you started that, but is your company just you doing it yourself? Because I know that you do other things as well too.
It's just me.
Wow.
It's just me. I'm a one woman show. So
One woman
I
entrepreneur.
basically, of course, my husband jumps in all the time, when needed with the heavy stuff
Hmm.
and some of the complicated requests that I get from customers. My kids help out. My granddaughter helps out. My son, who's 9, helps out. So everybody is in tune with the business and have knowledge of what to do. It's just for the most part, I'm doing the late nights and early mornings. in between my full-time job and of course being, a wife, mom, grandmother still.
So, do you all have a website, or how can people check you out if they want to like see your work and also get in contact with
I actually do have a website which is in the process of getting updated.
you? Okay.
Um, they could check it out at www.notthenorm with two R's.com. The reason why I say it's being updated is because right now it's just t-shirts and masks on there,
Mm-hmm.
but I still need to put my centerpieces, all my customized things such as blankets, tumblers, mugs, pillows, book bags, fanny packs, candles. It's just endless.
So people.
Napkins. So I need to put everything on there, which is a little time consuming, but I'm hoping to get that done by this month. They can also check me on Instagram, which is more up to date. Every time I post, every time I make something, I definitely post it on there as
What
well
is
as
your
Facebook.
Instagram?
NOTTHENORRM, not the norm.
Okay. So also when it pertains to this and everything, you'll basically just decorate any and everything. So that's
I
one of
would, I can definitely do that, and it's definitely one of a kind. So anything that you see that has my name behind it is definitely going to be one of a kind. You
hmm
won't see it in the store. You won't get it nowhere else. It's going to be one of a kind. The only thing I could definitely say that's from the store is the materials that were put into it to make it. So yeah, pretty much anything. I definitely try to turn people's visions into, I really try to execute it. And I come with different challenge. People come to me with challenges all the time, like weekly. And I love it because it pushes me just to do more and just to, get my creative juices going as to what I thought I couldn't do and I actually executed. So, it's just I just never thought t-shirts would just put me to this level.
Yeah. Well, that's, I mean, you can never, despite small beginnings, because the fact is, t-shirts, pins, all types of small things are businesses. You know what I'm saying? You never think about it as you grow up that, oh, that's a business, but it is. If you want to sell hats, you know what I'm saying? Eyeglasses, shoes, the things people don't even think about, even tea. So, like when you go in the grocery store, all those little things are being sold. So, again, yeah, so your business, I mean, like I said, I used to see the not the norm t-shirts and stuff that you used to post a few years ago, and I used to be like not the norm. Okay, and I used to look at it and I started seeing it. But yeah, but I definitely know that you are a entrepreneur, you know what I'm saying, like that's striving for big things, and that, you know what I'm saying, I read your bio in which you deal with so much. You deal with customized handmade event decorating, um, decorating mugs, diaper cakes, magnets, wedding items, flower arrangement, keychains, vanity trays, TV trays, blankets, pillows, puzzles, and that's just to name a few. So, anything else you want to enlighten us with?
I do want to definitely thank you for bringing me on the show, and I do want to definitely thank my supporters. I've done so much for a lot of the local producers, local authors, a lot of the organizations, just local reputable organizations and people, and I just appreciate them. And people can also check me out on Etsy. I just started my Etsy store last year, and just the fact that I'm in, Wyoming or California and New York, West Virginia, just the fact that people have a piece of not the norm in that state is just the feeling is just overwhelming. And as far as what I said, as far as being bigger, as far as with the backdrops and things like that, the sky is really not the limit. Wherever God sees me to go, whatever his plan is, that's what I'm going to do. And I just, want to be worldwide and be really an inspiration, to a lot of people who thought that they couldn't do it, because I got told a lot, oh, nobody want to get no t-shirts. Everybody doing t-shirts. And now it's really just
I don't know why people are so negative. When I first got into real estate, and I don't even, I know I shared this with some people, but I don't think I shared this online. I remember I was told when I first got my real estate license that I would not sell one house. Somebody told me, I don't see you selling a house because there are thousands of real estate agents. And you know what I said to them? I said, you're not God. Only God can tell me how high or low I can fly with my wings. So, and the funny thing is, this person was a beautician. I said, you do hair for a living, and there's thousands of hairstylists. So how are you gonna say to me what I can't do when you out here doing hair? But people always try to, throw shade or negative, or sometimes it's unfortunate. People don't want to see you be successful because they're not successful or they haven't been successful at what you're trying to do. So, I mean, even when people say stuff like that, I try to use it as motivation to prove them wrong.
Yes, that's what I thrive off of. The negativity just it pushes me even more, and you can really, really do a lot as far as I mean, anything you want to do. I use that negativity as my motivation. Um, what people's request is my motivation. Being on different groups and seeing what they can do and adding my own touch to it. I've always been creative, but I just never would imagine that it would be to this level of me actually, me and my husband making trophies and things like that. I never would have imagined that, you know, actually meeting someone to collab like that, because of his creativity and the work that he does. I wouldn't have thought that we would have been on TV. We was on Channel 7 getting showcased on how we transform our living room to a wedding chapel because of COVID and how it looked. I would have never thought of that. And I really don't know what to expect, but I'm ready for it. Whatever in the future, I'm ready to do it.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. Well, I appreciate you. I thank you for taking the time to come on. I know we had to adjust the time because of me. I told my people in the beginning that I normally come on at 12, but I have a dentist appointment at 1. So, what I'm saying, I want to thank you again. Any and everyone, if they want to check her out, this is the CEO Kiasha Battle. Not the Norm. So you all can check her out on Instagram. You all can also go to her website, Not the Norm, and that's with 2Rs.com, and then also find her on Etsy. So we appreciate you. I appreciate you. I thank you again for coming on. I thank you for your nice party, and I look forward to seeing you in the future.
Yeah, hopefully before the next party.
Yeah, it will be. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great weekend and keep doing what you're doing because you're awesome and your commercial rocks. That's all I got to say.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right.
All right, y'all. That was Kiasha Battle, the CEO and owner of Not the Norm. That's Norm with 2Rs. Just giving us a brief description of her business, what she has to offer, how she got started, and all that good stuff right there. So, to recap. All right. Basically, in the beginning, I talked about debt consolidation, what people can do. Again, people can basically go to their credit union or local bank, talk to them about consolidating all their debt, especially if you feel like it's too much, because once you consolidate, your monthly payments could and should be lowered to the point where it should ease some of that pressure, that financial pressure up off of you. And also, if you have a home, you can use a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit, or you can refinance, take some money out, pay the bills off, and you're just basically paying back yourself. Well, not yourself, but the mortgage company, people lend you the money when you got it from out your equity. And then also the lack of motivation. In the world we live in today, there's so many people who are not motivated. People are not motivated on their jobs. People are not motivated in relationships. And people are definitely just not motivated when it pertains to anything, especially a lot of grown kids. And when I say grown kids, I mean people over 18, but basically still living at home and not contributing. So the lack of motivation sometimes can be blamed on the parents. Us parents, we tend to want to give our kids everything, and in return, they give us nothing but their behinds to kiss. But you have to learn how to deal with that, because also with the lack of motivation, there's also frustration. So this world today has so much of it. We can deal with it. We just have to find a way. And I also want to again thank Kiasha Battle for coming on and giving us her business spotlight. I want to thank you all for tuning in. And also, my show is every Friday at 12 noon. But again, I have a dentist appointment at 1 o'clock, so I had to come on 1 hour early today. And please subscribe to all of my social media, which is the links are at the bottom. And also make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. I appreciate you all. Also, check out DamonTheAgent.com for all of your DC, Maryland, and Virginia real estate needs. You can always call or text me at 202-618-1382. I appreciate you all. Thank you, and have a great weekend.